Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to today's Cloud Thursday session, Informatica Cloud and Salesforce Lightning Connect. You'll be joined by three presenters today, Clement, Grady, Drago, and Mark Murray. And before we get started, I just want to let you know that your lines have been muted. We are recording this presentation. And of course, you can ask questions at any time during the presentation. And you can do that in two ways, either via the Q&A box or send questions directly to any one of the presenters, and we'll address the questions during the presentation. So without further ado, I'll pass the ball to Mark. Hi, Mark.
Hey, John. Thanks a lot. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, folks. Today we have a really exciting session on Informatica Cloud and Salesforce Lightning Connect. But what you see in front of you right now is the continuing education series that will run throughout the year. The first two we've already completed, and they are available for replay. And then we have a couple more slated to follow this, and we have a number of sessions not planned yet, and we'd love to get your feedback and what you guys, our community, would like to hear and see in some of the later ones this year. So please respond to us and let us know what you'd like to see. But today, I think we have a great session. We have two excellent presenters with a lot of content, and I think you'll get the gist of how Informatica can support OData and work with Lightning Connect. And for our Informatica sales consultants that are on the phone today, it's very important, I think, that you understand the relationship with OData and Salesforce, because a lot of our current accounts will be looking at this as a way to, in some cases, limit the integration that they need into Salesforce. But you need to know that Informatica can be that OData provider layer, and you'll see that in live action today. And without further ado, let's pass it off to Luke and Grady.
Thank you very much. So this is Luke Clement. I'm going to be assisted by Grady for this presentation. So as Mark said, we're going to be talking about Informatica Cloud and Salesforce Lightning Connect. What we're actually going to be doing most of our discussions around OData, an exciting new standard, and we'll describe how it can be used, how it's exposed by Informatica Cloud, and it can be used by Salesforce Lightning Connect and other applications. So what I'm planning on doing today, is to give you an overview of concepts and capabilities. We'll talk about the Informatica Cloud's OData provider. First, we'll say what is OData and describe that, the types of consumers of OData that exists, and a very important one, which is Salesforce Lightning Connect. And as we're going through this presentation, we're going to be doing a few demonstrations. For those that would like to understand what's new in the upcoming spring 2015 release, which is being deployed this weekend, we'll be happy to also share a guide with you. OData, this capability that we're going to be describing today, is being released with the spring 2015 release. So let's first talk about Informatica Cloud and the types of capabilities that Informatica Cloud as a whole offers. We offer a broad portfolio of services, including data integration, which most of you are already aware of. Includes data synchronization, replication, data warehousing, and analytics capabilities. There's also rich capabilities for data management in terms of data quality and master data management. But one area of focus of the cloud team has been and is application integration. What we offer in application integration is an API framework to be able to create APIs, expose APIs as REST, JSON, or SOAP services, to be able to build composite services, essentially an abstraction of a variety of services that you have within your enterprise, that can be data services and business services, and to expose it as a composite service. One use of a composite service is to implement a process, like order to cash. So this platform allows you to have access to all of this type of information. And most importantly, it provides you with the ability to have interactive access to data, both through our visualization components, which we call guides, and as of this release, OData. So let's go through the platform at a very high level. We offer, as you know, multi-tenant cloud batch and service-oriented integration platform. We provide you the design time, the runtime, and the management for your processes, your tasks, and a variety of other capabilities. There's a rich connectivity framework in terms of exposing connectivity to a variety of data sources, but also services and APIs. Core use cases include, as I suggested, data synchronization, data replication, and as you will find out in the next upcoming sessions, task flow, where we can orchestrate cloud tasks using the technologies we'll be talking about today. Process automation, process guides for interactive access to data and OData, and an API framework are all provided with cloud application integration. So let's talk about some use cases. You know, you're well acquainted with when you need batch integration. Typically, it's because you need the data within your third-party system. You want zero latency to access to that information. There are, however, integration patterns which are request response related, where you have an event in one source in a source system that triggers a set of activities in other systems. This request response paradigm, this request response in real time style of integration, are the types of things that the Informatica Cloud real-time option of Informatica Cloud provides you the capabilities of implementing. There's also interactive access to data through guides that allow a user to view information without moving that information, to be able to interact with that information wherever it is, within Salesforce, but within databases, and across other systems, like for example, NetSuite. And as you implement APIs, as you implement these guides, and as you implement these processes, each of them are exposed as services. So you have the ability to create a process that becomes a composite service, to expose it to your partners, expose it internally, and to making these APIs consumables. There's one particular class of API, in fact, it's more like a protocol, which is OData. So what is OData? OData is a new standard. In fact, it's been in development for a number of years. Started with work that Microsoft and SAP did, with the goal to essentially provide a means by which to expose data via the web. I was in the enterprise, of course, but also on the web. And since the start of the work, which essentially brought a fruit with version 2 of the OData specification, OData version 4 has been standardized at OASIS. So OASIS describes it as a REST-based protocol. As you'll learn, the REST provides you with XML atom format or JSON, and it builds on the principles of the internet, where data can be exposed through Atom Pub, JSON, using URIs and means by which to access resources. So it is very friendly to the world of REST, to the world of JSON. And there's a rich community and a rich ecosystem of consumers, providers, and vendors that have jumped onto the OData bandwagon, and it's a good wagon to be on. It's very exciting, in fact. So what are we announcing with the Spring 2015 release, which is being released this weekend? Well, amongst many other capabilities which are described in the What's New guide, is the ability to access OData from the web. So we make possible, through Informatica Cloud, to provide access to OData consumers to data that's served within the enterprise or within the cloud. That can be accessed through, for example, JDBC, SAP Table Reader. If you have internal OData sources, our OData connector allows you to connect to those OData sources and make it available to the internet, to your variety of partners. One of the key ones is, of course, Salesforce Lightning Connect. So our implementation makes it possible for OData consumers to access this information. We support both version 2 which Salesforce Lightning Connect and a number of consumers use today, as well as the version 4 standard. How do we do that? Well, first, a little refresher on Informatica Cloud application integration. As some of you know, we host a process engine in the cloud that allows you to deploy processes, essentially orchestrations, to build those composite services, which allows consumers to have access to these services via SOAP, via REST, either XML or JSON, as you'll see, OData. We make this what this makes possible is to consume services, as this suggests, because these are all services that would be consumed by this process. But the process itself is an API. So the service orchestration then makes it possible to access information with the systems that these services integrate, either in the cloud. So, for example, if you want to access from Informatica Cloud, access services that are exposed by a variety of cloud vendors, it's possible. And as well as making it possible to reach through the secure agent and the process engine that is deployed on the secure agent to reach a variety of sources of information, of services. For example, SOAP services, REST services, JDBC, JMS, AMQP, brokers, Java, and a variety of other techniques by which you can interact. And one of the things that Informatica Cloud also allows you to do is to allow you to expose this data interactively within Salesforce, but also mobile devices. Here's when the OData comes in. With the 2015 release, we now make possible to expose a new endpoint where you can request access to data, to various data sources, the ones that I described earlier, and to be able to have access to through an endpoint in the cloud and connect to via secure agent to data sources that might reside on premise or also in the cloud. So, what's an OData provider? Well, first I'm showing you here is an example of a sample parts table that we're going to be using for the purpose of this demonstration, and it's actually running on my laptop. And then you'll see during the course of this demonstration how we can access this information that's from the web through a variety of means. We make that possible by creating a connection in Informatica Cloud and enabling OData, and I'll show that to you in a minute. What this makes possible then is to expose OData as a service, as a data service, which allows you to access parts information, for example, this fuzzy dice, through a simple set of URIs for listing parts, for accessing the details of the part in 1782, or getting the cost. It also makes so these URLs makes it possible to use a variety of different consumers, for example, SOAP UI, or Excel, for example, who has the ability to import OData feeds, to be able to access information in real time. So let me just show you a quick demo of these capabilities. First, let me show you how Informatica Cloud, which you access the Service and Process Designer, which is how you are going to define, where you're going to define the endpoints and connections that are going to be exposed to the cloud, to your applications. That will, in the connection settings of the Process Designer, you'll have access to a connection. This connection is one of many that Informatica supports. Today I'm using a JDBC connection to access a parts database. It is running on my laptop, and I've enabled it using OData. And for the purpose of today's demonstration, I'm only allowing a single user account. This information connects to a to a MySQL database, as I said, that's running on my laptop, and here's evidence of that database. Once you've published the parts connection, it is exposed as a consumable service on the internet. Now, let's first show how we might consume it using a JSON client. For those familiar or me not familiar with this tool, it's called Postman. And let's have a look at how we can use the OData protocol to learn about the schema that is exposed by my parts database. You'll notice two tables, the order table and the sample parts table. Get a list of parts. I'm going to use a version 4 endpoint. I'm going to communicate to the sample parts database, and I'm going to get the list of parts that are coming back as via JSON. About list of orders. Again, same URL, except this case we're looking at orders. If I want to find out the details of a SKU, sample parts, int 1782, simply making that request. I just want to get the part cost. You get the information. If you wanted to select make, models, and years, and get all the information you can, and if you can, just limit, for example, return just 3 items from the protocol. Here you go. So this protocol, this access technique for accessing data is an extremely powerful one, so you can see how many different applications can make use of it. Let me just show you another application that makes use of OData. Excel, for example. So if I was to go and look at the data, open up an existing connection to, let's say, my orders, create a table, and in real time, I'm able to access the data. As you can see, you need to authenticate to it. You're not going to expose this data freely. And here's the order table. So what I've shown you so far are information about the OData provider and how you exercise the protocol and the types of capabilities that are exposed. At this point, I'd like to turn and give control over to Grady. We'll talk to you about a very special consumer of OData, Salesforce Lightning Connect. Let me pass the ball over to Grady. Is Grady on mute?
Hi, thank you, Luke. So what I'm going to show everyone now is how Salesforce is able to consume the endpoint that Luke has created. Along the way, I'm also going to make some very important points where the Lightning Connect, while it provides an excellent way of having access to external data sources in real time, which again helps to eliminate or mediate the need to do data integration into Salesforce, it does not eliminate that need for data integration, and I'll point that out multiple times. So let me start with showing how we set up the connection. That's called an external data source within Salesforce that's going to reference the endpoint that Luke had created. So within Setup and in the Salesforce menu, so I'm a Salesforce admin at this point, I've already created an entry, an external data source. When you're initially creating that, the inputs look like this. So you're creating a label that'll be known to make it known to inside of Salesforce. I've taken one of the URLs provided to me as the admin by the ICS or Informatica Cloud real-time admin, which is going to be my endpoint. In this case, it's a URL that's pointing to the MySQL database on Luke's machine. And then after that, we set up parameters such as telling it that the type of OData connection it is, OData 2.0, that it's an Atom pub. There's also performance, settings that can be made within Salesforce to either maximize performance or API usage. And also down at the bottom, we have authentication. Once those are set up, Lightning Connect will go out to the real-time environment and request available data sources. In this example, we have 2 tables within the MySQL database that are exposed. We're going to be working with the one labeled external orders. So at this point in time, Salesforce would have interrogated all the metadata and retrieved all the metadata from the MySQL database through our OData provider, and we would automatically have all the details around the connections, such as the metadata about the table, data types, aliases. It also would have created basic Salesforce objects, such as buttons, search layouts, and etc. So at this point in time, without having made any more configuration changes, we would have a view into the one table exposed by the OData provider. Now, the view here, I have made one change, but the view here is essentially what you would have. So right now, the value would be that users would have real-time view into the one table inside of Informatica being exposed through the OData provider. Now, this is great, and this is undoubtedly valuable since this external object is now available to Salesforce admins and to Salesforce developers with certain caveats. But the real benefit is when we take this information and we actually, at a high level within Salesforce, relate it. Now, what I've already done here is I've created a field that is defined as being a type of lookup. And let me briefly bring up a slide that describes the type of relationships that can be established within Salesforce. So Lightning Connect, since it works with external data objects, does have some caveats to it. So within Salesforce, there's 3 different relationship types: lookup, external lookup, and indirect lookup. And they use different data to relate objects, being internal, custom, or external objects. In the example today, I'm going to be using an indirect lookup and explaining how and why we believe that using indirect lookups is one of the best practices in establishing relationships. The important part is you have 3 ways in order to actually establish relationships based upon your use case. So what I've done is on my external object, I've created a field calling it account. It's an indirect lookup to account. And if I show you that on our external orders object, what you can see is that this ID here is the ID that exists identifying unique customers in the terminology of the MySQL database table. And what we're doing is we're going to relate that unique identifier to account objects within Salesforce. So the way that we would do that, what I'll do is I'll go to the account objects to show you this. On an account object, we've created an external ID field called account code. Now, this is where data integration is still a part of adding value or allowing you to further leverage the ability that Lightning Connect provides to you. So what we have to do is we have to place the ID from the external data on the account record, on the parent account record. Once this is done, then Salesforce has the ability to relate accounts to our order entities' external records. So what you see in this space here is records coming in real time from through the OData provider and being displayed by Lightning Connect. So in this example, if we were to go back to the MySQL database and change any of the values that you're viewing here, upon screen refresh, you would see those automatically update. So what's very interesting here is that some people have the preconception that using Lightning Connect is going to mitigate or eliminate the need for data integration. And what I would propose in this case is clearly the need to focus on the quality and relationships between internal and external data is still as great as ever. So the role that Informatica would play in this role for data integration would be populating accounts with the needed account code, external data key. I think if you think about this scenario a little bit further, there are other options such as the ability to take the Salesforce ID for an account record in this example and push that key down to the external systems and then to create a different type of relationship within Salesforce. But the important thing here is you're managing relationships between systems. So I would propose that while Lightning Connect provides a lot of value in that it gives you easy access to real-time data, which is helping you to avoid the complexities and costliness of large integration efforts to move data and to store it inside of Salesforce, that it actually enables you to focus, provide those capabilities, and also focus on important things like relating external data to internal data to external data, as well as the need for master data management in order to properly establish those relationships. So this was a quick overview of Lightning Connect in Salesforce accessing the OData provider. So Luke, I'll pass the ball back to you at this point.
Thank you. Now I just need to figure out how to go into presentation mode again. Okay. Well. So during the course of this presentation, we've talked about a variety of capabilities that Informatica Cloud offers. We've just touched on processes and the ability to expose APIs. We've talked about interactive access to data, where as suggested that OData obviously was one of these capabilities. What I'd like to do is, in closing, is also give you another way to interactive access to data, and it's through guides and processes. So what are guides? Well, there are ways, it's a tool, it's visualization of information within Salesforce that allows users to be guided through SDF tasks to be able to automate common processes and common gestures. It provides the ability to read and write information not just to Salesforce and to database, but to any other system that Informatica Cloud can integrate to. So any REST service, a SOAP service, databases, even accessing systems through Java